Hello, I am Michael Collin with the Arlington County Department of Community Planning, Housing, and Development Planning Division. And this is the first and only online engagement session that the county um, is piloting in lieu of in-person meetings for the Ames Center project. An in-person site plan review committee meeting was held on February 24th and covered the project introduction, land use and zoning, building architecture, and site design. A meeting summary for this SPRC meeting is available on the project webpage. This presentation is provided for the online feedback opportunity scheduled to begin July 16th and remain open until July 23rd. And we'll cover remaining SPRC agenda topics, including open space and landscaping, transportation, issues on and off-street parking, information related to community benefits, and the presentation will close with a recap of issues identified by staff, as well as next step for public review. I would like to begin by providing an overview of planning guidance and precedent relevant to open space function and design for the Ames Center site. The Roslyn Sector Plan describes development of the Ames Center Plaza as part of the 18th Street corridor in detail, naming this segment the Roslyn Steps, and noting it is generally envisioned to provide a public way through the site for pedestrian and bicyclist travel. The plaza should maintain a minimum 60 feet between building faces and buildings sited to maintain direct visual and physical connections to or between Metro Station Plaza and the intersection of North Oak Street and 18th Street North. As shown in the previous slide, Seattle's Harbor Steps is identified in the plan as inspiration for how to reimagine the Ames Center Plaza. The Harbor Steps project was developed in phases between 1994 to 2000 and included delivery of a public space consisting of a series of steps and plaza landings that serve both as a pedestrian travelway and passive space, as well as event space and public art and a public art venue. The sector plan envisions a network of parks and open spaces throughout Roslyn, including redesigned plazas along the 18th Street corridor. Notably, the plan doesn't commit to common design elements, but does encourage a variety of experiences within the corridor. The Ames Center Plaza is identified as a, quote, linking space on map 313, which provides for connections between other open spaces within an integrated network. However, it is also assigned as a, quote, revitalizing space typology in chart 3.5, which include passive space opportunities and amenities such as seating, gardens, public art, or other suitable features. The sector plan included 2 action items relevant to the 18th Street corridor and the subject site, including implementation action number 53 for development of plaza design guidance, as well as implementation action number 54 for creation of a public art plan for the 18th Street corridor. Although these action items were not completed, the applicant is currently working with public art staff on ways to implement art into the space or to provide a public art contribution that could be used in the 18th Street corridor or elsewhere in Roslyn. Subsequent design guidance has been adopted by the county board that addresses the primary intent of action item number 53, including the Roslyn Streetscape Elements Master Plan from June 2017, and the Public Spaces Master Plan update from April 2019. There are precedent examples that may be considered for plaza design, including the constructed Central Place Plaza or the conceptual plaza design approved for the 1401 Wilson site across Ames Street. The Roslyn Streetscape Elements Master Plan was developed by the Roslyn BID in coordination with county staff and include furniture and streetscape standards for elements such as seating with various types, including fixed benches and movable or ad hoc seating, newspaper corrals and vending boxes, litter and recycling bins, and information carts, which would include a movable pedestrian-friendly kiosk type cart, solar charging stations, which would be a movable or a roving solar device charger, and similar elements. The Public Spaces Master Plan, which was updated in April 2019, as I mentioned, outlines design guidance for privately owned public spaces, such as the envisioned plazas along the 18th Street corridor, including design guidelines for layout, access, use, landscaping, amenities, and signage. The Central Place project was approved in May 2007, which was well before the sector plan was adopted, and it was completed in phases between 2017 and 2018. The project is an example of a completed hardscape, but the sector plan does not account for the design details as originally approved. And as mentioned in the previous slide, the plan does not commit to common design elements. The 1401 Wilson Boulevard project was approved by the County Board in June 2014, but it has not moved forward. It provides yet another example of plaza design within the corridor, but it did not implement any design inspiration from the Central Place Plaza.
Hello, I'm Jane Kim from DES Transportation, working with Michael on this project. With the Ames project located in Roslyn, we have several county policy documents that guide the transportation considerations of this proposed project. The Roslyn Sector Plan, approved in July of 2015, the Master Transportation Plan, or MTP, and specifically the recently revised bicycle element, and the Core of Roslyn Transportation Study, which was completed last fall. These documents inform us about the transportation vision in Roslyn and include details pertaining to streetscape, curbside management, bicycle facilities, and any changes to the street network. The proposed Ames Center site plan is one of several projects in this area of Roslyn that collectively work to fulfill the county's vision for redevelopment. In addition to the previously approved private developments, the county also has a capital improvement project proposed to remove the Fort Myer Drive tunnel, which directly impacts the Ames Center project. As you can see from the tentative timelines, the tunnel construction is slated to occur in 5 years, which is approximately 2 years after the anticipated delivery of the Ames Center. The Ames project will deliver what we are calling an interim curb line condition, with the final condition realized after the tunnel is removed in Fort Myer Drive. The interim curb line is located such that the future Fort Myer Drive construction will add on to the existing streetscape, with the final condition streetscape dimensions to match those envisioned in the sector plan and in the Core of Roslyn study. The proposed Nash Street curb-to-curb width of 47 feet matches that of the sector plan. However, the Ames project is proposing to add on-street parking along their frontage, which is allowable by DES transportation staff as an interim condition prior to the removal of the Fort Myer Drive tunnel. Post-tunnel removal, the final condition of North Nash Street and the on-street pavement markings will likely change in order to account for vehicle travel lanes, bicycle facilities, and parking as necessary to achieve transportation goals in this area of Roslyn. The cross-section of North Nash Street as proposed by the Ames site plan does not include a northbound bicycle lane along the project frontage as called for in the MTP bicycle element. Instead, it includes a parking lane that is not called for in the sector plan. For the interim period of time after the Ames project is delivered and until the Fort Myer Drive tunnel is removed, staff supports the southbound only uphill bicycle facility along North Nash Street. Post-tunnel removal, staff will reevaluate the pavement markings along North Nash Street to determine the appropriate allocation of right-of-way for the various uses. While the Ames site plan does not deliver bicycle facilities along Fort Myer Drive, the final alignment of Fort Myer Drive post-tunnel removal will include protected bicycle infrastructure in the form of a cycle track on both sides of Fort Myer Drive. The delivery of the Ames project will include signed on-street parking as the interim condition. During tunnel removal, maintenance of traffic or MOT plans may dictate some periods of time where on-street parking is unavailable. The final condition will allow for off-peak parking on Fort Myer Drive, and the Nash Street curb-to-curb markings will be reevaluated post-tunnel removal.
Once again, I am Michael Cullen with the CPHD Planning Division. Off-street parking will be provided in new structured parking space within the project. Approximately 574 total parking spaces are now proposed in 3 below-grade parking levels across the north and south towers, and now in 4 above-grade parking levels in the south tower. The developer requests a zoning ordinance modification for the residential parking ratio of 0.72 spaces per unit. The project now proposes 5 loading bays accessible from Fort Myer Drive, which still requires a modification from the zoning ordinance to allow 5 loading bays instead of 6 for the combined residential office and retail use program. So staff identified a few preliminary issues at the first SPRC meeting in February. Some of these issues have been resolved following staff clarification and subsequent information provided by the applicant. But issues for discussion here include the following issues that have not been fully addressed. The sector plan discourages above grade parking greater than what is needed to support the project. Staff notes that the residential parking guidelines permit a significantly lower parking ratio of 0.2 spaces per unit at this site. The second issue is timing associated with removal of existing skywalk structures across North Nash Street and North Fort Myer Drive may be in conflict with sector plan recommendations. And then third, the application requests a modification for required loading spaces, and clarity is needed on the loading bay dimensions. Last year, the county board raised concerns over modifications for required loading spaces and for otherwise deviating from the dimensional standards outlined in the standard site plan conditions. The applicant recently proposed an additional modification to allow for 13 additional feet above the 23-foot penthouse projection, which is permitted under the zoning ordinance to accommodate elevator overrun structures in both towers. So the sector plan acknowledges both the pedestrian level impact of above grade parking structures and development limitations for underground parking in Roslyn due to subsurface bedrock. The plan recommends that no more parking should be provided than is needed to support proposed uses and intensity for the site, and that parking spaces located above grade should be minimized to reduce overall building volume and impacts to the facade. Proposed above grade structures should include a case for consideration that demonstrate design, environmental, and/or economic justifications. Recently, the developer has revised the proposal to remove 1 above grade parking level as well as 76 parking spaces total, which represents an improvement in line with the sector plan guidance. The sector plan recommends replacement of the existing skywalk system in Roslyn and directing pedestrian activity to the street level, primarily through the implementation of the 18th Street corridor. And the project proposes to remove 2 existing skywalks on Nash Street and Fort Myer Drive. However, as noted in the sector plan key policy T8 and recommendations B and C for pedestrian improvements, skywalk structures should be removed after safe street level connections are provided across the 18th Street corridor, specifically after removal of the North Fort Myer Drive tunnel adjacent to the site so that a mid-block crossing can be established. That will be challenging for this project since the planned capital improvement project to bring the Fort Myer tunnel to grade may not be anticipated until after the Ames Center redevelopment is completed. And so staff will need to continue coordination between both projects. The Skywalk connection extending from Nash Street to the Roslyn Metro Station at North Moore Street contains multiple stairs or steps and is not accessible. To meet sector plan criteria under recommendation B, replacement of the skywalks would require elevator access from the sidewalks on Nash and Fort Myer if public lobby access could not be provided. If an option to replace and rebuild the existing skywalks is pursued, it is likely that a portion of the cost would be supplemented as part of a community benefits package negotiated with the county. In addition, while the sector plan calls for possible skywalk reconstruction as an interim condition, the lifespan of any new structure could be anticipated to be decades. The proposed elevator overruns on each tower, and shown here at left, would extend approximately 13 additional feet above the 23-foot penthouse height permitted under the zoning ordinance. Staff are awaiting technical information that may explain the need for this request, as well as images that reflect how the elevator overruns impact views from the Central Place observation deck in accordance with the sector plan guidance, such as the simulated computer model from the sector plan shown at the upper right. So we are currently negotiating a community benefits package with the developer that addresses the goals of the Roslyn sector plan. We expect the benefits associated with additional density will include LEED certification and delivery of a public plaza that completes a major segment of the 18th Street corridor. And we also anticipate additional benefits such as the provision of on-site affordable housing units and potential contributions for street infrastructure and or public park improvements. These benefits are in addition to standard site plan amenities such as sidewalk improvements, utility underground fund contribution, public art fund contribution, and installation of an in-building wireless emergency responder communication system in the proposed buildings. Following this online feedback opportunity, a virtual SBRC meeting is planned for a later date to review changes and provide updates. The SBRC process schedule is planned in accordance with Arlington County's recent guidance on public meetings to mitigate and contain the spread of COVID-19, with Planning Commission and County Board consideration of the project expected in fall of this year. So please provide your feedback, comments, and questions by visiting the project page or reaching out through the contacts below. The comment period will be open from July 16th to July 23rd, 2020. And a virtual walking tour is also accessible from the project page and includes an interactive map that includes views of the site, relevant information, and views of the project. As well as the ability to provide comments. We also encourage use of the online engagement session tool to provide comments on the agenda topics outlined in this presentation. So the issues we would like you to focus on for this engagement session are open space, transportation, community benefits, and construction issues. Each of these topics is listed here and includes sample topics under these issues. We certainly don't want to limit feedback or questions, but we request that your responses focus on these issue areas. Thank you. That concludes this presentation. And again, please reach out if there are any questions we may be able to answer. Thank you.